welcome to The Birth Breakdown, a mini-sode series from Her Birth, Her Story. These short episodes are here to open conversations around pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. Things I believe that every woman deserves to look into, to question, and just to feel empowered by. This isn't about telling you what to do, what's right, or what's wrong. It's about giving you space to think, to learn, and to ask questions, to just trust yourself a little bit more as you prepare for your birth. So let's break it down. On today's episode of The Birth Breakdown, we are going to be jumping into something that is unfortunately, which I feel like it shouldn't be, but is a very controversial topic. And just like everything in the birth world, there are very strong opinions on both sides. And I'm coming from a neutral standpoint to where I am not here to give medical advice, nor do I want to. I just want to kind of lay out for you some of the things that go hand in hand with this, maybe some things that you should look into, maybe some resources that can help you, because obviously this is a big topic, especially more a popular topic recently, and that is circumcision. Do I or do I not? And what's the purpose behind it and the risks and rewards? So we're kind of going to jump into it a little bit, and just know there is no judgment from me, no pressure in this space at all. And just like I said, I am not here to tell you that you should or you shouldn't. That is simply up to you. I just want you to feel informed, grounded, and just empowered to make this decision that aligns with your family and one that aligns with the specific research that you have done, because I just think it's important. And the more that you really start looking into circumcision and stuff, it is not just like a medical procedure and yay, it's all done. Like, there's a lot of other things that go into it that you do need to weigh out, risks and rewards that go hand in hand with it, because you know what, at the end of the day, like, this is your choice. And I think that with everything in the birth world, every single person deserves to have informed consent and just all of the information, all of the risks, all of the rewards, whether it's something that normally happens in the hospital or normally happens in society. And even if the risk is really low, you should still be told what those are and be able to decide like if that little bit of risk makes you feel comfortable or not. So let's just start with the basics. And circumcision is a surgical procedure where the foreskin, which is the skin that is covering the tip of the penis, is essentially cut off. It is removed. And you can look that up. If you go to Hopkins Medicine, you can look up that definition. In the US, it's often done in the first few days after birth, but it's not medically required, and it is considered an elective, meaning parents can choose whether or not they want to do it, which is also from Hopkins Medicine. So even though many people get it done, especially if they have a hospital birth, it is an elective, which means that you do get to choose whether it is a yes or a no type of thing. Now, from a medical perspective, this is where things can feel like a little bit confusing, because the answer really isn't super black or white. Organizations like the American Academy of Pediatrics say that there are potential health benefits, including lower risk of urinary tract infections in infancy, reduced risk of certain sexually transmitted infections later on in life, and a very, very small reduction in the risk of penile cancer, which you can look at that at the AAP publications. But at the same time, they also say that the benefits are not strong enough to recommend it for every single baby. And the decision should ultimately be left up to the parents, which is also a AAP publication. So on the flip side of that, like any surgical procedure, whether it's minor or major, there are risks. And even though they're considered very low. They still can happen. And unfortunately, a lot of times we go into things, and I've done this plenty of times with myself. I go in thinking, oh, that won't be me because I'm healthy, I'm this, I'm that. Normally, that's true for me from my experience, but you still need to know that there are risks that you should be looking into. Some of those risks could be bleeding, infection, irritation, or complications, which are usually minor, but just know that they are chopping the skin off to where there can still be human error as well, so they can still butcher it. And then your child is living with that for the rest of their life too. So that is something to also look into. So medically speaking, you'll often hear it framed like this. There are some benefits, some risks, but not a one-size-fits-all answer. And I definitely feel, obviously, that it's normalized in the hospital just because a lot of people have been doing it, and it's just part of that routine newborn care, getting it done, which if you choose to do that, great, but just know there are risks and there are small benefits to having it done. From a home birth or more of like a natural minded perspective, this is where you may hear a different lens, because a lot of families that do choose this side of birth normally are the ones that choose not to circumcise just because they view the body as whole and intentionally designed and just prefer to avoid anything medical that it's not necessary. It doesn't really help the percentage of outcomes with all of those things that are beneficial that I listed earlier. The percentage is very small, so they don't feel that going through that with their child is important to them. Others feel strongly about delaying the decision, so just either allowing their child to choose later on in life. And yes, this also comes with risks and benefits as well. People say that a newborn baby does not feel pain when they're doing it. You should definitely look into how the procedure is and what they do, but just know that your newborn does feel pain. And it's crazy because they don't go under general anesthesia, which this is something that has always just really like blown my mind. So for the newborn baby, they don't get put under like general anesthesia or anything like that. But if you get it done to your child, even as a child or an adult, they put them under anesthesia to cut it. So I don't know. That just doesn't really make sense to me. 2 and 2 doesn't really add up. But that's a very interesting thing to look into, I would say. And also in many home birth settings, circumcision simply isn't part of like immediate newborn routine. So parents have a lot more time to just kind of like think about it. A lot of times they're not really offering that in home. So you might have to go out and either find a doctor to do it in a hospital or find a rabbi to do it as well. And you might also just hear conversations kind of around like bodily autonomy, minimalizing interventions, and the role and function of the foreskin. And again, these are perspectives and not necessarily prescriptions, not things that you should personally think yourself. Definitely dive into some research and see what works best for you and your family. And the cultural and personal side, this decision is not just medical. For many families, it is tied to religion, cultural traditions, family norms, personal experience, and just the research even acknowledges that many circumcision decisions are influenced by these non-medical factors, not just health data. So if you feel pulled in different directions, that's normal because like I said earlier, like you have two very different sides, and it's important to just kind of know what to dive into when it comes to circumcision. So if you're in that kind of like, I don't know, I just want to tell you first, take a deep breath. You don't have to rush this decision. This is not a decision that you need to know right now. And don't make a decision from fear or even from pressure. And some really helpful approaches to this is obviously talk to your trusted pediatric provider. Don't just take their word for it. ask them for resources. Ask them, can you show me the risks and the benefits from getting this done? Do you have any information that I can read? Any podcasts that I can listen to? Any books that I can read? Or anyone who has experienced any of these risks or rewards from doing it so that I can gather as much information as possible? Also, ask how the procedure is done. And that also includes pain management, because a lot of times this is the real kicker for many moms that I've talked to, is when they watched what the procedure was and what they do and how things are handled, and a lot of times that it's not medically necessary and it's not something that really hikes up the percentage of benefits. Like, just like I had read earlier, the percentage of benefits is small, to where it's not like it improves everything dramatically, especially like in the US. So you want to see how that procedure is done. And a lot of times moms don't feel that the benefits of having it done outweighs what the procedure really is and what their kid has to go through. So that is something to look at for yourself and what you and your husband are really comfortable with. Look at both benefits and risks. This is like my biggest thing on all subjects. Every single thing out there, you should look at benefits and risks and not just one side or the other. Really look at both and just consider your values, your beliefs, and what really feels aligned for your family. Because informed decisions don't come from pressure. They come from understanding. And if you're not looking into these things and you're not looking at both sides of things, you're going to feel confused. You're not going to feel peace. And, most importantly too, go into it prayerfully as well, just that there will be peace with whatever decision that you guys make. And also, I did want to say too, a lot of times this is for my home birth moms out there as well. And a lot of times there are different timing things for moms' decisions as well, because in a hospital, obviously your child normally, unless you decline, gets a vitamin K shot, and hospitals normally will not do circumcision unless your child has received that vitamin K shot. So, especially home birth moms too, or people who decide to decline that, and maybe even if you do the vitamin K drops or whatever, a lot of times they will not circumcise in a hospital if they do not have that shot. So if you do decide to decline that, but you do want to circumcise, you may have some issues doing that. And that's why I said a rabbi might be someone who would benefit you better. They do end up being fairly expensive as well. So if you do decide to circumcise, then definitely make sure that you look into all of those things, especially if you are planning to decline the vitamin K, or if you are doing a home birth, just being able to find a place that will do it for you. So here is just a gentle reminder. You might hear very strong opinions on both sides of this. Trust me, I get it. And sometimes those opinions can just feel so loud and even so overwhelming. But just because something is loud doesn't mean it has to be yours. You're allowed to take time, ask questions, sit with it for a while, and change your mind as you learn. And most importantly, you are allowed to make a decision that's rooted in love, intention, and information. At the end of the day, there are healthy, loved, thriving babies who are circumcised, and guess what? There are healthy, loved, thriving babies who are not. This is not about one making you a better mom. It's just about being informed. I'm always here to have these conversations with you with openness, honesty, and zero judgment, even if these topics end up being pretty controversial. But just know I'm here to lay some things out for you to make sure that you research and just feel confident and have true informed consent in all of the things: birth, pregnancy, postpartum, and with your precious newborn baby. And so I will see you in the next episode. If this episode sparked curiosity, affirmed something you've been feeling, or just gave you a whole new perspective, I'd love for you to share it with another mom or mom-to-be who might need it. Make sure you're following Her Birth, Her Story, and if you feel called, leaving a review is one of the best ways to support this space. And it just helps these conversations to reach more women. Until next time, remember, this is your body, your baby, and your birth. We are reclaiming birth one story at a time. I also want to add this disclaimer that this is not to be taken as medical advice. Please make sure that if you are seeking medical advice, then reach out to your own provider so that you can figure out what is best for you.